picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Welcome, friends, to the first chapter of what I am calling it rather unimaginatively, the Tale of Two Starships. I've got, what I have here is the new Polar Lights Voyager ×2. This is the standard edition. This is what they're calling the clear edition, even though we know it's not clear, and I'll be hammering that point for the next couple of weeks, so get used to it. And I'm trying to figure out, in my own brain, what kind of bells and whistles these are going to get. I don't have the resources to do both of them flat out, nor do I really have the interest or the time to do that. I want to do, because I have the unique position of having both of these here, I want to do two different treatments. The opaque Voyager, the blue Voyager, you may be hearing me calling it that in the near future just to keep them straight, the duck egg blue and the milky white. And the duck egg blue I'm going to do pretty much out of box and only light up the clear parts on this. That will be the warp nacelles and the 2 or 3 clear window inserts that are provided. Those are the only things I'm going to be lighting up. I'm not going to be opening any windows, not going to be doing any of that. If you want to go that nuts, go with the opaque version. So with the opaque version, I will be doing more full lighting. I will be doing the windows and the clear parts, and I might even try to put one of Ralph's boards in this to do the strobes and navs. I don't think I'm going to do strobes and navs. I think I'm just going to do a simple out-of-box build where the painting is more the big deal on this one. Also, you need to figure out, if you're going to light your Voyager, are you going to be all fancy with the warp nacelles? And the only reason I bring that up is the warp nacelles are on a nice little hinge here, and they can be up in the warp position or down in the impulse position. And I really like the way that they've engineered this with the hinge. It's actually better. It's a better hinging system than on the old, the bigger kit. But it's going to put a lot of strain on your wiring right there. And I'm afraid if you use a magnet wire or a delicate wire, which would fit in that area a lot better, then all that repeated up and down might weaken that and might break those the wiring. So I mean, really, when you have built your kit and you have it on the shelf and you light it up, very rarely do you also go back and start playing with the warp. I think it's best to maybe freeze those in one position or the other. So I think these are going to be the down flat positioned where they are flat out impulse, and then for the milky white one I might do that where they're up in the warp position. So that way you can see both extremes and the wiring will be more protected that way. So while I'm trying to figure out which one of these is going to get which, that's kind of where I'm at. This one is only going to get light blocked as much as it needs to for the areas that it's going to have lighting in it. This guy is going to have to get a lot of interior light blocking. Now, interior light blocking works very well if you can get your light blocking very close to where your windows are going to be, and luckily, this being a injected styrene kit, you will be able to do that better than, say, I could do on that big Galaxy class or the big Enterprise E that I did, because that cast resin or that poured resin would be varying thickness and you couldn't necessarily get to the exact inside of the windows. But that shouldn't be a problem with this. Structurally, they go together exactly the same. They are the same kit. They've done some really smart engineering on this. There is an amazing amount of detail in the hull, and the grid lines are not cavernous big gashes like they have been on other kits of this size, where the grid lines were just amazingly large. These, I think, are very true to the filming model, and not overly huge. I'm just doing some last cleanup on here. So what I'll be able to do actually is put this upside down on the lighting table so that I can draw out the interior light blocking. It's just going to be a little series of vinyl pieces that you can put down on the inside, and then give this a healthy spray of you can use a black, a silver, or white, whatever your preferred light blocking paint is. You can do that. We'll just block off, the window groupings first. So let's get those drawn out and put down, and then we'll go through all of the other pieces and parts that need to get light blocked. Not going to get a ton done this week on these because it's already Thursday and I'm basically just starting. So what I can get done today and tomorrow is what we will have to show for our first week. Well, good news. Only took a couple of rounds of test fitting, but it looks like I've got some workable window masks. That's only part one of the masking story for the Voyager, but it's an important one because everything else comes after that. So now that I've got window masks that are the appropriate size, I'm particularly fond of these guys. Now that I've got that, I can go out and mass produce them and stick them all down on this, and that will help when it comes to showing through the backside. I can mask the areas on the inside, and those will just be larger rectangles of the black vinyl that you can put in from the back, so that when I spray all of this, those areas will be protected. Most importantly will be the backside of these dormers and the backside of the actual windows themselves. And I hate to say that's a gracious amount of work to do for one day, but I think it's an important step to get done. I've also got the masking done for the clear inserts, which I will be using on this kit alone. So we'll put that over to the side. I'm also going to be masking off some of these areas. See, anything that uses your basic hull shape or hull color. There's some grays in here. It would strike me that it'd be easier to mask off these areas, or to spray the gray on them and then mask them off, and then spray your body color over that. And there's areas here. There are areas like that on the bottom side here. And where was the other one? The other one was on the top. Was on the top of this piece here. There are some side areas. So I think that other kind of masking, where you have different colors of hull color, ones that aren't handled with the decals, like a lot of these tans up here are handled in the decals, so there's no need to mask those. But I'm also pondering masks to go around these phaser strips to make them easier to paint as well. So still plenty of work to do on the masking side, but getting the windows and the clear parts masked, that was the holy grail of things that needed to get done today. Now the one last thing I have not masked or come up with masks for are the standard clear parts, the warp engine clear parts, and the deflector dish clear parts. So that's got to be next. Good morning, folks. It's Friday, the last work day of the week, and I am continuing on the panel masking now that I think I've got the windows cracked, which is always good because you want proper ventilation. But I got the window areas kind of figured out, but now I'm doing the paneled areas like this and like this and like this, so that you can paint those areas and mask them and keep them the darker gray color and then paint your hull color around it. Right now I'm doing the areas here around the phaser strips. I've been playing with, speaking of phaser strips, I've been playing with an idea to include shapes like this. See if I can pull one off of the sheet here. Shapes like this that you can put at the edges of your phaser strips so that you can mask those half circles fairly easy. Now I'm realizing that they're not all the same size. It looks like the belly strip is wider. Well, no, I think I just need to make these masks wider. But the idea is that they would go on like that, and that way you can run your tape over the sides and then pop these on the ends, and it will mask the half circles. Because the circles are very tough to mask, or they're not, well, they're tough, but they're tedious to mask. And if you can do something else that will allow you to do that, then we can do something like that fairly easy. But I am noticing that these are way too small. And I'm also noticing that the phaser strips are different sizes, different thicknesses. Looks like this phaser strip right here, much fatter than this one. So I may have to provide two different thicknesses. It looks like the belly phaser strip and these guys are the same thickness, but this one here is thinner, and the one on the bottom of the saucer is thinner, which is what I measured against. So I just need to make some wider ones. Okay, I'm back. Did you ever get one of those calls where someone calls you and asks you if you could give them a ride to a doctor's appointment, and then you sit there and sit there and sit there, and only to find out that, oh, they're going to have to be a lot longer, and you can go home now, and if you'd have told me that an hour earlier, I could have gotten more work done. So that's where I'm kind of at right now. So I'm catching up. Here we can see the masks that I've got done for the phaser strips for the bottom of the Voyager hull, and I've done the same for the top. I just need to plot those, but it's coming along pretty good. The window inserts I've glued in, and I don't think I'm going to get too many of the window masks down today, but maybe enough to show what's going on with them. Okay, we've also got the masking done for the upper phaser strips. Now, in the final product, don't worry, this will all be yellow. The black vinyl I'll be reserving for the windows because it is a little bit more adhesive than the yellow, and you need that to stick. Such a small piece of vinyl, you need it to be as sticky as possible to stick, to have enough adhesive on the back to stick into these tiny windows. But the big ones will be the yellow low-tack vinyls, just that it's easier and cheaper for me to do mock-ups with the black. That's why I do that. That's why you're seeing that. So I'm just finishing up the shapes that are on the nacelle, or on the pylons there on both sides, as well as, well, you saw that one, that's on the bottom there. These three I need to do now. I had forgotten that they were also the gray color. So we'll finish these up, and I think that'll be a good place to stop for the week. Okay, so this is how we're going to end the first week on the Voyagers plural build. I'm sorry I didn't get more done, but it's been a weird week. Finishing up, getting back into town, and then readjusting everything. So small video, short, truncated video, but important foundational work done on these. It's going to help the rest of it go much quicker. I did speak, good news though, I did speak to Ralph about those circuits, the strobe circuits that he's making. Now listen to this. We've identified that one of the jumpers will also work the Voyager timing for the strobes. His target price for these is like $13. That's pretty good for a professionally made circuit board, particularly something along the lines of what Ralph does. Now you still have to bring your own bulbs to the party and your own, switch and battery clip. But just for the board itself, with the timing already figured out, that's pretty good. Now the Voyager has strobes, but it does not have navs that blink. It has red and green navs, but they don't blink. The only thing that blinks on it is the strobe. So you simply just don't use the nav blinking. You use just the strobe. Now, if you want to have a disco party in one of the windows and you want that window to blink, knock yourself out. But that's the thing about this. You don't have to feel bad about not using it all if it's only 13 bucks. And for some kits like the refit where you have strobes and navs that blink, you can use that too. That's the idea. That's the nut of this new circuit board, is that it is adaptable to what you need. I think it's going to be a boon down the road. I know, simply for me, just for a simple strobing circuit or a strobe and nav circuit, that's a good deal for me. I could buy a handful of those at that price and have one on hand, and then depending on what ship I need, I just change the jumper on it. But that's the work. That's the work for this week. So until next time, when we will be diving head first, neck deep into Voyager, y'all be good to each other. Be safe. Be smart. Be back next time when the video will be longer.